Christ. In yesterday's reflection, we were talking about Jesus who cried, who wept, shed tears over Jerusalem. And we are told that Jesus was entering Jerusalem and he came inside of the city. He shed tears over that city. And this journey that Jesus made to Jerusalem was the final journey. It is about the journey that will lead him to the cross. And so shedding tears over Jerusalem, as we said yesterday, was because he saw the way the people had turned their backs away from God, and then also the destruction of the temple of Jerusalem that was to happen in AD 70, and he really felt bad about all this. And especially because he knew also that he was going to offer himself to a people that were not ready to accept that. And when he went into Jerusalem, then he went into the temple. The temple that was supposed to be a place of worship, that was supposed to be a place of prayer, that was supposed to be a place where the sacrifices of the people are offered in all sincerity, had become a robber's den. It had become a threshold where people went about their businesses in such a way that they extorted money, especially from the poor. And so the normal sacrifices that could be bought outside the temple at a far cheaper rate were sold in the temple for over 500 or 1,000% gain. And at the end of the day, the way the business in the temple was being carried out was not what was intended, because it was all about making money. And because of this, Jesus had to drive out all those who were in the temple, because he wanted to cleanse the temple and to make it whole again. He wanted the temple to have the original meaning that was intended when God asked the Jews to build the temple. It should be a place of prayer, a place that is welcoming to everyone, and a place where people could be comfortable. There will be no need walking up to the temple to offer sacrifice, and at the end of the day, you go feeling hurt because you know you've been extorted. Those who are carrying out the sacrifice have extorted a lot of money from you. And that can give us the opportunity to reflect and ask ourselves, our churches today, are they robbers' dens or are they places of worship? Are they meant to bring God to us, or they are meant to extract the little resources we have from our pockets? We look at present-day churches, we might think that the purpose of what Christianity is supposed to be has been pushed to something else, and especially with advent of the gospel of prosperity. The gospel of Jesus Christ, his death, his passion, death, and resurrection has been pushed aside, and at the end of the day, all preachers of gospel of prosperity, all they do is to think of means and ways of getting money from the people. And sometimes even the Catholic Church, we have that tendency that we are doing everything not for what we are supposed to do, the praise and worship and honor of God, but because we want to make money out of the services we render. Today gives us an opportunity to ask ourselves, how do I look at the church? Does it provide the services for which it is meant to provide, being a place of worship, being a place where it's open its arms to welcome anybody who comes into contact with that church, or it has become a robber's den, a place of extortion? When Jesus drove out those who were selling in the temple, they got offended. The Jewish leaders got offended. And that is why every day when he went to preach in the temple, that annoyed them the more, and they wanted to do away with him. And that is why the chief priests and the scribes, with the support of the leading citizens, tried to do away with him. But they will not do this because the people hung on the words that came out from Jesus. And these words were not just empty words, they were words that were truthful. There were words that came out with authority, and the people could see these words expressed or lived out in the life of Jesus. They could see that these words were actually genuine, and they understood that truly he was the Son of God. And that is why they believed in him, and they hung on his words. And so the Jewish leaders, the scribes, chief priests, the scribes, and the Pharisees, they didn't have the opportunity to do away with Jesus at that time. In my own daily life, do I go close to the words that come out from the mouth of Jesus, the words we find in scriptures? Or I am that kind of Christian that go about with a pick and choose way of Christianity. We pick some of the things Jesus said which are comfortable to us, and we neglect others because they are not comfortable or because they do not bring us the kind of profit we want or the intended end I as an individual want. We need to hang on to Jesus and go closer to him in a meaningful relationship, in prayer, in total self-giving, and ask him to teach us to love him above every other thing. So that in this sense, we shall be closer to him, he will teach us what to do, and we will be able to do that, not for our own sake, but for his greater honor and glory, and for the glory of the community in which we find ourselves. Let this be our prayer today and throughout the week. Amen.